Welcome back to Bird Dogs Forever, the audio podcast. I'm Chris Haggeseth. I'm your perennial host. You can't get rid of me because nobody else will take the job. We have a treat today. We've got a real expert. I've tried to make it clear to you that I am not a dog trainer. I happen to have a dog that works pretty darn well for me. I respect trainers. I trained her myself. But I'm not the guy that's the expert that you should ask questions. Well, today we've got Rick Smith. And if you have any familiarity with hunting magazines, you know that Rick Smith and his seminars are well known throughout the United States. And so I'm ultra pleased to bring him along to you and let him start talking about what he knows about dog and dog training, which is considerable more than me. So on the line is Rick. Rick, good afternoon. How you doing?
Chris, I'm doing fine. It's a thrill for me to be on this with you. I appreciate you giving me a call.
You know, it's just so nice for a Yankee like me to hear somebody talk with that nice, soft Southern drawl. I lived in North Carolina a couple of years, and by the end of the interview, I might even slow down the way I talk.
Well, I tell you what, I appreciate you saying that, too. I think that honestly comes in real handy with working with dogs. If you get in a hurry with them, you usually, not that they can't go in a hurry, but there's a lot more learning goes on when you're just taking your time and being easy with them.
Tell me your background. Fill me in. I know your dad was very big in the area. Tell our listeners the story of you getting into this business and your family and everything.
Well, it goes back to 1917. My grandfather, my mother's dad, Dutch Epperson, he was a kennel boy in Big Cabin, Oklahoma, for a guy named Chess Harris, which won numerous national championships in Grand Junction, Tennessee, the trial that just finished this last February of 2006. And he won his national championships in the 20s and late teens. And Dutch, my granddad, started as a kennel boy for him. And then he got to training professionally and had his own business and trained a dog named Spunky Creek Boy. This is back in the 30s, which Spunky Creek Boy is in the Field Trial Hall of Fame. Then my dad started courting my mom, and he got into dog training. This is back in the 40s. Dad was just a teenager. He had been training horses and was a farm boy, got into dog training, started going to Canada training. And then my uncle was a bird dog trainer, and my grandfather's brother was a bird dog trainer. My brother's a bird dog trainer. My cousin's a bird dog trainer. So it was just pretty natural for me to get into it.
That's quite a strong family history of dog trainers. Obviously, you guys must be very wealthy since you've all gone into the family business.
Yeah, right. You don't get into dog training to get wealthy. You get into dog training because you like working with animals and wildlife and being outside.
I know it. Yeah, I just thought I'd throw that in there, but it's true. Okay, now, tell me how you went from being a trainer. I imagine you mean that people would bring their dogs to you and you would train the dogs for them. How did you make the transition to doing your seminars?
Well, I ran competition dogs for several years, and then I'd always trained for the public for right at 30 years. And my dad started the bird dog training seminars back in 1967. He did them for 30 years. I helped him put on numerous seminars for several years, and then I took them over from him in 1996.
How much time do you spend training dogs for other people now?
I don't train for the public now because I'm on the road so much and I'm not home enough to train. Mm-hmm. So for the last 5 years, I've been outside of hunting season. I've been doing the bird dog training seminars from middle of March to about the middle of October. So I'm just not home consistently enough to work other people's dogs. I work my dogs. Mm-hmm. But my cousin, Ronnie, trains for the public, and he's even, when I'm needing some serious training to be done, he does mine for me even because, like I say, I'm just not home enough to do it.
Well, he does some of the seminars, too. Is that not correct?
He does seminars in March and April, and that's all.
Okay.
And see, I go from March to October.
Who else is on your team in giving these seminars?
Well, of course, Dad still goes out and does some demonstrations. My brother has done some, and I do the bulk of them, and then Ronnie does numerous ones. It's what we call the Huntsmith team.
Right. Now, I've noticed in your articles in Pointing Dog Journal that you've been co-authoring with a woman, Sharon Potter. Is she part of your seminar group too, or?
What we do is she does articles, I write the outlines, and then we get together and put articles out for Pointing Dog Journal and some other publications, and she does the train retrieve seminars.
Now, what other publications do you write your articles for?
Well, we're exclusively with Pointing Dog Journal on our training, but we've done some other outside articles, just like on conditioning or on seminars, on different type of stuff. But Pointing Dog Journal gets all of our training articles.
There's an article that came out in the March-April that you wrote that I just was struck with. It was an article about respect or love, the relationship between the human and the dog. Would you comment just very briefly about that? How that concept come to you?
Well, in my seminars, or when I was training for the public, I would see dogs come to me that had been indulged, or for that matter, what I like to say, loved almost to death, where they're overfed. It's not healthy for dogs. If they don't, being kept slim and kept in shape is what's good for the dog. That's showing respect for the dog.
Right.
Giving the dog what the dog needs. Obviously, if we were doing that, and if we could, we'd have them hunting every day because that's what the dogs would love to do, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Also, if you're wanting the most out of your dog, and if you respect that animal for his best potential and what is best for him, you will do what's best for him. A lot of people want to say, well, I love my dog and I don't want to make him work too hard or whatever. You're not doing your dog that good a service, to be honest with you. If you respect him, you'll have him in the best shape he can be.
Yep.
And, you can call it tough love at times. Dogs need correcting at times. Just about every dog needs correcting. If you're not willing to correct because you love the dog, it's a lot easier to love a dog than it is to respect one, because you got to step up and be a good, proficient, sound pack leader if you're going to respect that dog for what's best for that dog.
And I'm just going to guess that part of this overindulgence and overloving might be a cultural backlash to decades ago when people, well, frankly, they were cruel to their dogs. And I think maybe people have let the pendulum go a little too far the other way.
Well, I'm not saying we're going the other way, but we're not. If you really, let's talk about Vince Lombardi, for example, Green Bay Packer coach. A lot of people didn't like to be around him, but they respected him. He got the most out of his players.
Yep.
He might not have was their best friend, but all of his players. You talk with anyone or listen to an interview of anyone that was coached by Vince, and they have great respect for him because he made them perform. Now, if you're going to, not that he was abusive or anything,
right,
but he got out of them what they really wanted.
Yep.
Now, if you respect your dogs, running them when it may be cold or when it's hot, of course you got to pay attention make certain you don't get one in a heat stroke. I think respect is a lot harder to do than it is to love one.
It reminds me, I served in the Marine Corps during Vietnam, and I was pretty cushy, though. I was a Navy flight surgeon, so I can't give myself too many strokes. But there was a lot of respect there, and there was a real good feeling of belonging. We each knew our role. I had a commanding officer once. I said, if he was flying a mission into hell itself, I would be glad to fly on his wing.
That's respect.
That's respect.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And you know what? That is situations like that. We've not to that extent or talking about, but like we just finished hunting season, and there's times when in South Texas when the temperature will be 75, 80 degrees, and boy, that is hard on dogs.
Right, it is.
And you go 21 days straight hunting, and those dogs that love that hunting, they'll have thorns in them and stuff like that, but you pull up to the kennel in the morning and they want to go.
Yep.
Well, you can say, well, that's too hard for that dog. Or you can respect that dog and let him go with you and hunt him. You gain tremendous respect both ways.
Yep.
And that's what you were talking about, that both ways.
Yep, for sure. Okay, now, when somebody wants to sign up for your seminars, what do they do?
Call me or write me and I can send you a brochure.
Okay, well,
or you can pull up my website, which is huntsmith.com.
Okay, let's make that real clear to our listeners. www.huntsmith.com.
And my schedule's on there.
Yep.
Also Ronnie's schedule.
Okay.
You can either call the people that are hosting it directly, or you can give us a call.
Okay. What is your phone number?
My number is 804-784-3882.
Good. And to our listeners, I'm saying this. We have a link on our website to Huntsmith. So if you let all this go by you and you still want to get a hold of Rick, go to our website, birddogsforever.com, and we'll link you to him, because I really think he's got something good going. I'm gonna have you back, because I want to have a couple more opportunities to pick your brain for our listeners. Right now, we're going to let it go like this. I think we all have come to know you and got a sense about you, and I'm going to say goodbye for now. And maybe in a week or so, or 2 weeks, I'm going to get back, and maybe we can dig into some subjects a little deeper.
Well, good. I'll be waiting for your call.
Okay, well, hey, thanks a lot. So, everybody, that's, you just met Rick Smith. I tell you, a good friend of mine went to his seminar, a number of years ago. This guy, you've heard me mention him before. His name is Fred Weniger. This guy was the CEO of Iomega. I mean, a brilliant man. And he said he learned techniques in Rick's seminar which helped him in managing people in industry. So that's where I developed my respect for Rick, though I have not had the pleasure of meeting him face to face. So everybody, until next time, this is Chris Hagaseth. Keep your cards and letters coming. Send money, negotiable securities, stocks and bonds, whatever else you want. Don't ask me advice on how to train your dog. Do it with a professional. Till later, this is Chris Hagaseth saying so long.